the necessity in a person's life to have a teacher and to have a friend. And we explain what a friend means. A friend is not a yes man, that whatever you want, he'll condone, and he just wants to be on your good side. A friend is a friend where he truly has an interest in your welfare, and he'll even tell you things which you may not want to hear, but because he's concerned for your welfare, he will tell you things which are in your best interest. So we discussed yesterday the balance between the teacher and the friend. If you have those two components in your life, you pretty much are able to walk that straight line and have a degree of perspective and clarity and succeed in life. But the question is now the next statement in this Mishnah, which is stated by Yeshua ben Prachio, says, Havidonis kol hodam kavschus. You should judge every person favorably. You should give a person the benefit of the doubt. The question is, this closing statement, what relevance does it have to the first part of the statement? You should choose a teacher and acquire a friend. In addition, you should judge your fellow man favorably. Kavschus. Evidently, there's some degree of linkage here. What's the linkage between the first statements, or statement, and the closing statement? Many years ago, somebody had come to the Yad of Rum. I'm going back now, maybe 38 years ago, and he himself was a partner in a law firm in Wall Street, real estate law firm. And his father had just died. He wasn't fully observant. And he was recently married. I mean, just a few years, had no children at the time. And he started to attend a Gemara class. And we were learning certain tractate. And we spoke about evidence. The only evidence which is admissible in court is testimony of two witnesses. And when witnesses offer testimony in court, the witnesses are interrogated to make sure that what they had seen was accurate. And there are certain questions. And if there's any discrepancy between the two witnesses, they're rejected. Because evidently, if they both claim they saw the same thing, certain basic questions, the response should be the same response. And if not, if there's discrepancy, evidently, each one saw it from his vantage point, and they did not see it accurately. That is the value of interrogation. That's what it's about. So this person came and was speaking about, and I was quoting many sources when we were studying the Gemara, and he himself is a lawyer, and a very good lawyer, very smart person. And he says to me, he's amazed. Out in the world, if you have 20 people witnessing the same crime or the same event, it's the exact same thing. It's almost irrefutable what happened took place. But each person, when he sees things, he sees it from his own vantage point. And very often, what each one saw is slightly different than what the other person saw. Although, if you have a trained eye, you see something very accurately and very specifically, but other people who just happen to be bystanders, when they see something, due to their predispositions or the predilections or what they believe is, that becomes part of what they witness. As a result of that, the testimony is not accurate. 20 people, ask each one what they saw, you'll get 20 versions of the same thing. Generally, it's the same, but it's a different version. It's not exactly the same. So everybody has, due to his own conflicts of interest, we see things many ways. And even when a person does the right thing, maybe he's doing the wrong thing, we always suspect maybe he has an ulterior motive. many things which play simultaneously, which causes us not to make a proper evaluation of a person or an event or a statement. However, what the Mishnah is telling us, and the way the commentators explain it, if somebody definitely is guilty, he's guilty. That's not a judgment call. Guilty is guilty. Innocent's innocent. We're talking about where it's not clear. It's not clear. You witness something and you give the person a benefit of the doubt. It's a 50-50 call. Maybe he did something right, maybe he did something wrong. And there's a Torah law that a Jew has to give his fellow the benefit of the doubt. Why? That since a person has a presumed status, that he's a law-abiding citizen, to change that status, unless you know definitely he violated the law, you have no right to classify him other than his original classification. That's no presumed status. A person has a presumed status, he's a law-abiding citizen, he's upright, he's honest, and you see something which may cause you to question it, since you don't have a definite proof that it's different, and it's a 50-50 call, the Torah says you must give that person the benefit of the doubt. That's havidon is kolod m'kaf schus. The word kaf, when you have a scales of justice, you have 2 plates. The kaf is one of the plates, of the 2 plates. So if the balance is equal, it can go either way. You should give the man the benefit of the doubt, not judge him negatively, judge him favorably. Everybody has his challenges. We have our insecurities. We have our Achilles heels. We have our egos we have to deal with. There's so many things to deal with. And all these issues interplay in every experience in life. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're more sensitive. Somebody doesn't say good morning to you, you're offended. Another day where you're feeling your oats, he didn't say good morning to you. It's not the end of the world. Thank God everything's great. You're walking on air. Doesn't bother you. So every day we're in a position, we vacillate emotionally, mentally, various things based on what's coming down the pike, what has happened, everything else. Therefore, the Torah says, if it's a 50-50 call, the man's a regular average person, you have to give him benefit of the doubt. If he's a tzaddik, this man is devout, and it's unheard of that he does the wrong thing. That's his track record. Even if you see something which seems to be negative, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Because his presumed status is so secure, unless you know definitely it's not, you have to give him that benefit of the doubt. What about a person is corrupt, dishonest, and he has a record? He's a criminal, and you see him do something, and it's a 50-50 call. You have no obligation to give the benefit of the doubt. Because since his past is something which he has no respect for the law, and he has no conscience, and it seems to be he did the wrong thing, you have no obligation. Because the presumed status is not, he's not a person of upstanding status. He's not that. Now, how does this interplay with the previous statement? You should choose a teacher for yourself, and you should choose a friend. Some people, why can't they have a friend? Unless they sanction everything the person says, he always has many friends, many fallouts. Why? You have no right to say that to me. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. And even though the friend, his best interest is in your interest, and he may tell you something which may be something you don't want to hear, but he may not always be right. Nobody's perfect. So if you want to maintain that level of relationship, you have to understand people are not perfect. Even your best friend's not perfect. Some people, one event, he didn't do something that you wanted him to do. It's not the end of the world. That's not enough to dissolve a friendship, because he has a standing, he's a committed friend. Everybody has track records. His track record is very outstanding in terms of what he's done for you and where he's there for you and what he's willing to put up with you. And the teacher too. We see things through jaundiced eyes. Choose a teacher. Well, I don't think my teacher is so perfect. I see something a little bit hypocritical. He says one thing, he says differently. Maybe you don't understand. I heard a story when I was sitting Shiva. Somebody came and told a story. There was this Hasidic rabbi, lived about 80 years ago. Very holy man. And this poor man is waiting to receive a blessing. And all of a sudden, a rich man comes, and the rabbi already knows exactly what this poor man needs. Even before he tells him his issues, his problems. He has to marry off children. He can't put food on the table. And the rabbi has no solution for him at this point, other than give him a blessing. Then he sees a rich man walk in, and he tells his attendant, tell the rich man to come in first. Okay? So he breaks the line, the rich man. He comes to the front. What does the poor man feel? Sure. I don't have what to offer him. I can't give the rabbi a donation. So all of a sudden, based on your financial worth, they give you priority. So I thought this holy rabbi is above all that, but I see he's also subject to this kind of treatment. He mistreats the ones who don't have, and he treats the ones who do have royally. But you know what the intent of that person was? The rabbi. He wanted the rich man to come in first, and he was going to ask him for a blessing, and he would say, there's somebody very poor. He didn't tell him who. He needs a tremendous amount of money, and he will ask him for a certain sum of money. And he knows this man will put the money in an envelope and leave it on the table. Okay? And that was his intent. It wasn't the man was breaking the line to go before the poor man. He came before the poor man, so the rabbi should ask him to give an amount of money that he should be able to accommodate the poor man. And that's why he did it. But what's the poor man thinking? Poor man thinks the rabbi is also subject to this kind of thing. He favors the rich, and he doesn't value the needy. So the rich man comes in, and he tells him whatever he tells him, asks him a blessing. He says, I'm trying to raise money for this poor person. And he takes out cash, puts it in an envelope, leaves it on the rabbi's table. The rabbi doesn't even open the envelope, doesn't look at it. The poor man comes in, and of course, the poor man doesn't have the chutzpah, the audacity to question the rabbi. And he tells him his problem. And the rabbi says, you see this envelope? It contains money. Just take it. And you'll be able to address all your needs, to marry your daughter, to cover your expenses, whatever you need. There's enough money in that envelope. Okay, he's very happy. Right now, he has no complaint against the rabbi. But still, the rich man skipped the line. So he goes out and he sees this rich man who has a chauffeured car. And he says to the man, to the rich man, he says, "Mate, I need a lift. I'm going somewhere. Could you take me?" He says, "I'm more than happy to take you." He takes him in the car. And this happened in the United States, this story. And this poor man doesn't realize that this envelope was the envelope from this man who's giving him the lift. All of a sudden, he takes out the envelope and he starts counting the money in the car. And the benefactor who gave the money didn't realize this is the man. And all of a sudden he sees, that envelope looks very familiar. And the amount of money he has in the envelope is the exact amount of money which he gave the rabbi. And he realizes that this was the needy person he gave the money for. And he says to the man, he says, I'm very happy that the rabbi was able to help you. And he says, that envelope looks very familiar. He didn't tell him that he was the one who gave him the money. But what does it say? So afterwards he says, I want to tell you something. The rabbi is such a holy man. You should never, ever suspect the rabbi. What he did was only because he wanted to help you. Factually, I went in before you to be able to provide your needs. So the person says to the rich man, he says, now I understand the rabbi is great. Now I understand. He says, now you understand it's what you should have understood initially, Not after receiving the money, now you realize the rabbi is great. You should never suspected the rabbi. Because the rabbi is at a level, so therefore, to be able to be influenced by special people, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt no matter what. Even it looks bleak, it looks contrary to what you believe. They have a track record. These people, they don't violate basic principles because of who they are. So to be influenced by the teacher and to be influenced by the friend, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt to the nth degree. Otherwise, they will not be effective people. And the reason why you have to have these two individuals in your life is they should affect your life positively. But if you're going to suspect and you're going to judge them wrongly, they're not going to be the influences that's supposed to be in your life. That's the understanding. Give you an example. Lashon hara is something very negative, very in violation, multiple negative commandments, positive commandments. The Chofetz Chaim writes in his introduction, based on the Zohar, the terrible, terrible tragedies and negative ramifications come about due to people not being careful what comes out of their mouths. When they speak critically, where it has no constructive value, only for the sake of criticizing, deprecation, whatever it may be. Okay? You have two good friends. And one friend asks the other friend for a favor because he's truly in need. And the friend says, I'm sorry, I can't accommodate you. And the person who asked for the favor really needs that favor badly. And the friend cannot accommodate him. But he feels the friend should accommodate him. And because of that, he takes a financial loss. So what does he do? He blames the friend because he knows he has the means, but he says he can't help him. But if he really wanted, he could have helped him. So who does he attribute his problem to? Now that he has a financial loss because he couldn't make payment on whatever it was, his friend. Now he has a gripe. He has a gripe against his friend. I mean, until now, you saw your friend did most positive. But now, all of a sudden, that you had some kind of reversal, and he could have helped to prevent that reversal, all of a sudden now your friend's in the doghouse. He's no longer that popular, special person to you. What happened? I mean, do you live your life? It's according to my needs and the way I want it and the way I see it. That's not what life's all about. And if you understand that, you give your friend the benefit of the doubt. Just because you have a problem, your friend may not be able to resolve the problem. Well, he's a rich man. He could have. He should have. How do you know what his predicament is? He didn't explain you why he can't help you. He's always helped you. This one time, he doesn't help you. You have a claim against him. But you want to know something? That's the way people are. Many years ago, the founder of Or Sameach in Israel is a friend of mine. Today he's a man. He's in his upper 80s. He's not well. His name is Rabbi Schiller, Rabbi Noter Schiller. And he used to say, in Israel, they have many of these free loan societies. They lend money interest-free. So and I've had experience with this, because we had a free loan society at Yad Avram. And when they lend the person money, they give the borrower 2 small stones. So the borrower, he gets the money, they give him the borrower says to the free loan society who lends him the money without interest, he says, why you give me 2 stones? He says, you don't realize, because when it's come to the due date and you're not going to pay me, you're going to feel that I'm harassing you, because the payment schedule is not according to your liking. And when I call you for the money, you're going to evade me. And then I call you again, and you're still going to evade me. And you pass due date, due a month, 2 months. And you're starting to get upset. Would you have a right to harass me? So I'm giving you 2 stones in advance, small stones, because if they wouldn't be small, you'll find large ones to throw at me. So I figured to minimize the damage, I'll give you 2 small stones to throw at me. You got it? That's the way people are. It's the way I see it. It's the way I want to be accommodated. But if you give a person the benefit of the doubt, and you always put the other person in the best light, the man did you a favor. And maybe he says he can't help you because he truly can't help you. But I need help. Just because you need help doesn't mean say he has the ability, or now's the moment he could help you. But you're passing judgment. You have no right to pass judgment. And you may even say bad things, terrible things about that person. And you'll spread the word. You thought he was, but he's not. Because if he was, why isn't he helping me? That's the way it is. And unfortunately, that's a shortcoming of mankind. People have short memories. Right away, they develop this animosity. The moment they feel the pinch, where are you? You should somehow relieve that pinch. Honor him, but simultaneously, don't be so quick to give him the benefit of the doubt. You meet a person for the first time. He says, I'd like to borrow $1,000. And he looks like an upright person, I'll pay attention, but I'm not giving you $1,000 till I check you out, do my due diligence, that you're credible, that you're going to pay me back the $1,000. Even you will. Maybe your issue is not sufficiently warranting that I should give you the $1,000. That's called kabdeu v'chashdeu. So you're not passing negative judgment. I'm reserving judgment. I choose to reserve judgment. You have a right to reserve judgment. There's a story of Bishol Salanter, who was the leading Torah sage of his generation. He goes to a community, and he just wanted to see how the people behave. And he says, by the way, could you lend me a kopek? He was dressed like a very prestigious-looking person. They said, how could we lend you a kopek? We don't even know who you are. Who said you'll pay us back? Okay? He says, not a problem. I have no problem with that. Next day, the shochet, the ritual slaughter who was supposed to come to town, didn't arrive. And they go to Rabbi Shol Salant. They say, by the way, you're a rabbi. Do you know how to do ritual slaughter? He says, yes. Could you slaughter for us? He says, I don't understand. If you don't trust me for a kopek, you mean you trust me that I'll do the ritual slaughter correctly? Here I said, I'm credible. I have the means. I will pay you. That, I may not be, I may not be credible. I may not be honest. But when it comes to do ritual slaughter, since that's in your interest, all of a sudden, I'm credible. But maybe I'm not going to do it correctly. Maybe I'm telling you something which is not accurate. Maybe I'm not qualified. There's an expression in Hebrew, kol hadoresh latzmo doresh. Everybody, when he interprets, it's always in his best interest. When you're talking for your vantage point, you'll sell me the Brooklyn Bridge. When it's the other guy's vantage point, he could be giving me gold bars from Fort Knox. And you say, you have to send it to the assay office. We got to check it, even though it's in the package from Fort Knox. It's not enough. You're not credible enough. But the whole concept of giving the benefit of the doubt, you're not being a fool. You're not being a fool. You should give a person. The person is credible, but if you don't, let's see today's day and age. There's so many people walking the street. Let's say a person is not even an observant Jew, not an observant Jew. So what he considers appropriate behavior, morals and ethics, it's a whole different standard. See, in his eyes, he's a credible person. But if he doesn't keep his word, it's okay. In Judaism, you give your word, you're bound to your word. It's a whole different standard. So you have to know exactly who you're dealing with. Many years ago, I was giving a women's class, and a number of the women were lawyers. And I even remember the name of this woman. The story goes back maybe 32, 33 years ago. So one student of mine was a bankruptcy lawyer, and she was in-house counsel for Bank Leumi. Today, she's a fully observant woman. She's a widow today. Husband passed away about a year ago. They live in Great Neck. And she brought a friend. Her friend's name was Wendy. And she enjoyed the class. She says to me, I want to ask you a question. She wasn't a bankruptcy lawyer. She was just a commercial lawyer. And she says, I write contracts. And very often, when my client's up against an observant Jew, and the contract is written a certain way, the observant Jew is not willing to give my client an inch. And he's bound to the contract. Because the contract says whatever it says, I mean, why can't you be a little more flexible? That was a claim against observant Jews. You can't get an inch out of them. I said, let me ask you a question. What do you go to a lawyer when you write up a contract? The person has a doctorate in literature. He could write prose, or she could, like nobody could write prose. Do you go to that person to write a legal contract for you? Financial contract, go to a lawyer. Words have different meaning, and words have to be used. And you go to the best lawyer because you want that contract to be as tight as possible. And if you want to compromise, not to pay the fee and pay less, and therefore your lawyer doesn't have the qualification to see in that contract that the other person's lawyer has written that it's ironclad, there's nothing wrong with the person who has that. He's holding you to the contract. What do you mean it should be flexible? The reason why he had that contract written so ironclad because he wants to have a right to get exactly what he has a right to get. Well, he should be more compromised. What are you talking about? You buy something, and and it's with a warranty, and then the person doesn't want to honor the warranty. You're an observant Jew. You should let it go. What do you mean let it go? I bought the warranty. You have to abide by the warranty. Well, no, that's legal. That's the right thing. So the standards of ethic and morals, whatever it is, just because you feel I should give you my right hand and my left hand, I'm not obligated to. Well, I think you should. I think you should give me the shirt off your back. That's my prerogative. I'm not obligated to give my shirt off the back. Maybe you'll say, well, you should be an angel. The person's not obligated to be an angel. Not at all. So you have to know the fundamentals of what is and what's not before you pass judgment on your fellow. He may be upright and have impeccable credentials, but in your eyes, he doesn't. He's so wealthy, he should give more charity. How do you know what he is and what he shouldn't? What you think is. They always say, if I be Rockefeller, they say, I would support this cause. That's theoretical if you'd be Rockefeller. But once you're Rockefeller, I'm not sure if you support that cause. Everything is theoretical, theoretics, not simple. When you're in the driver's seat, you drive differently than before you get into the driver's seat. I'm going to say this facetiously.